Welcome back to Taja's Cabin, a.k.a. Lakeside Cabin. I am the Crasson. This is part 11. So, what has happened since the last episode? Well, we've got some planters and planter soils hooked up here on the front porch. I replaced the railing that was here. The other one was okay, but I was having a little trouble getting everything to fit just right, so I used the one that was in the loft, and this looks really nice. So I'm happy with that. I took one of the trees that was floating up in the air and put that right here in the corner. I think I might slide that a little over to the left, though. The whole idea for that was, well, it looks nice, but also I'm trying to make this area... Yeah, I'm trying to make that window look a little more centered by taking up some of the visual of the building. Anyway, we have the alchemy garden in place now. There are 24 planter soils here. There's 32 in total, so there's 4 on the front that we just looked at. There's 2 on the back and 2 on the side. We've got a hawk up there. You can shoot that one out of the sky. The nest will disappear. I don't know if it comes back though. It should, but I haven't tested that yet. But you can shoot that hawk out of the sky. We've got I guess this is a canticle tree from the Dawnguard DLC. A couple of small evergreens. Got some hanging moss here. You can't harvest this stuff, but you have to leave the area for 10 days in order for it to respawn. The same with the glowing mushroom that's right here. However, you can plant a glowing mushroom. I didn't think you could, but you can. However, you cannot plant hanging moss. I tried that. It didn't even come up. So, let's see, what else has been done? Well, coming in here in the back, we can see the dock is in place. I've replaced the stairs because for whatever reason, the other stairs, even though they looked really good and they fit, my character was having a lot of trouble getting up, well, not down the stairs, but getting up the stairs. Whereas with these, even though they look kind of rough, my character goes right up them, no problem. And I went ahead and put a roof on here, or a cover on the back deck, just as I had done over here on the side. I thought it kind of looked nice with that, and we've got some lanterns hanging here. There are light sources with these lanterns. They're off right now, but they'll come on in the evening, so we'll check that out a little bit later. And here's the other 2 planters, and there's one here and one down there. So it's a total of 32 planters. That's plenty. Now, what else has been done? There's been a few minor changes to the interior, but there's been one other very significant change. I talked about how the FPS issue was starting to get kind of bad. I noticed that when I planted ingredients and they grew, it got a little bit worse. And I was hanging around 43 FPS, and I thought it's not good. There's a lot of stutter. So I had to make a decision on whether or not to keep the basement where it is, or move it back inside, or see if there's anything in the basement that I could remove that might help with the FPS problem. And I did disable several things. It didn't help much. So in the end, I made the painful decision to move the basement back inside. It hurts. It hurts to have to do that. I really, really, really liked having that open. So I just put a door there, and you can see we got a lantern there. I left one of the torches there. Put a wood pile there, and the wood chopping block is right here. This thing's kind of weird. You have to leave the area and then come back in order for this to work. I don't know why that is. So anyway, you can see we have a couple other lanterns up here, and again, those light sources are their emittance is set, so they'll come on in the evening. But anyway, yeah, this was a tough decision. I really didn't want to do this, but the FPS was getting really bad. And that was before I put the roof on here and the lanterns and the railings. So adding those things just makes it worse, because every one of these candles, it's an animation because they're in there flickering. So anything that's moving, like those banners that were in there, every candle, and other magic effects really really hurts the FPS thing. So I'm a solid 60 FPS right now, whereas before I was 43. So that gives you some idea of what a difference it made. But we have this. Yeah, and if you remember right, originally the terrain, well, you can see where the ground level is right there. It came across here and then kind of dropped down that way. I did not put the ground back to where it was. It seemed like an awful lot of work for no significant reason. So I just left it where it was and thought, you know what, I'll leave the stuff here and I'll just put a door so we have access straight into the basement. It's not quite the same as having an open world basement, but we've got quick and easy access right here. I don't know how quick it is. Last couple of times I tried this load screen. You can see this load screen is really, really long. I guess it's because there's a lot of stuff in the basement. Normally I would edit this out, but I'm talking now, so anyway. But as you can see, everything's the same. A few little minor changes here and there. I swapped out the pelt that was here and put that banner on here. Remember at one time I thought that banner was I was running into something, and it turns out it was an activator from a mannequin that was upstairs, which I've gotten rid of, by the way. So I decided to put that back here. I kind of wanted a Falkreath banner in here somewhere, since this is in Falkreath Hold. But as you can see, everything's pretty much exactly the same. I moved the grindstone back here. This is where it was originally. And instead of putting that shelf back here, I moved the weapons container, which at one time was over here next to the armor container. So I moved it over here and just put the warrior stone there in the corner. So the shelf, the banner, everything else is the same. I changed out the light source that was here. The one that was in here was kind of like a dancing around, like I guess it's simulating the flickering flames, but it's actually a little bit nauseating when you notice it because you can't unsee it. It just made me queasy. So I used the same light source that's over here, so it looks okay. These vertical posts are different. These are actually the ones from that little divider wall upstairs. They came down here and almost exactly where I wanted to put them anyway, so that worked out pretty well. It's a lighter color than the ones that were in there before, but that's alright. They look okay. The bottom of that dividing wall was sticking down here, so I had to put some stuff in here to cover it up and make it look a little bit nicer. But we've got all our containers are hooked up here and working. I think I showed that in the last one. Put a little chores thingy there and just some kind of a flame thingy there. I had to put something up there. But everything else here is the same. Nothing's been changed here. I repositioned some things in here to get it centered a little bit better. Oh, looks like I forgot to doggone it. Hang on, I better write that down. Forgot to center the dais. I had that thing disabled at one time because I was trying to move the thing underneath here, and it kept getting in the way. Let me write this down. It never ends. I'm always finding something to fix. I thought I had everything caught up, but yeah, everything's pretty well set here. I did try some different gems in these skeleton eyes. I tried emerald, ruby, and a sapphire, and they were just too dark. I wanted a skull with glowing red eyes, but it's not happening. So put the diamonds back in there. This part, we've got our staff enchanter back where it was, and we're using this container now instead of the one that was in here originally. That's just a little simpler and cleaner. I did not add the little room on back. I would have to build that out on the back of the house, and it would have looked out of place, so I just didn't bother. This is all pretty much the same. Got that little shelf with that Ethereum thingy on it. That's about the only difference. Broom closet is back. I had to put something here. I just put some crates and barrels in it this time, though. There's nothing else. And, of course, our armory. I've tested these once. All these weapon holders. I had to redo all these because there's, for some of these things, like the display case, there's actually 3 parts. There's the case itself, which actually doesn't do anything. It's just a visual. You've got another piece and an activator, and you have to link one to the other, and then you have to link them to each other. So when you cut it, because I cut it from the old cell and put it into here, it breaks that link. So I had to reconnect all those links. That took a bit of time. But everything's back in place and looks pretty good. And over here, I removed that stone archway that was here. It just looked out of place. I really like that piece. And when I get around to building my castle, I'm definitely going to make use of it. But it just seemed way out of place here. And I considered changing the walls in the vault to match it. But I decided, you know, I'm just going to put some wood pillars in here. And I've got the height and everything just right. So it drops right down to the level where these stones are. Don't think I changed anything in here. No, everything in here is pretty well set. And you can see the ladder is gone. We don't need that anymore because we're all in one single cell. Don't think I changed anything over here. I might have made some small adjustments to the light sources, maybe the brightness or positioning, but that's about it. Alright, now over here you can see the mannequin is gone. I moved the dwarven sphere over here, put a little trophy base under him, and I brought this planter back in with the gildergreen sapling. That planter was actually there originally, so it's kind of funny how I go for full circle sometimes, but I really didn't like that mannequin being there. It's a dark area. I can't put a light source there because I have one here and I have one here in front of the fireplace, and that would have caused problems. So I just came up with this arrangement, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's see, anything else? I made these fill lights a little bit brighter. You can see this area around here is lit up a little bit more. And over here, I raised these shield racks because if you put a certain staff in here, it'll push into a shield that's on there. I may have to do that with the ones downstairs, but I'm not sure I'm going to. It only interferes with the shield, but I think that's the only change I made here in the living room. Everything here, as before, is all hooked up and working. All those containers are good to go. Up here, you can see in the loft, I added some furniture and a couple of flowers and the planter here. There's no plantable soil in here. You can harvest these, but you have to leave the cell for 10 days for these things to respawn. So the best thing to do is just leave them alone. Nothing was changed here. Now in the library, I changed this rug. The one that was in here was just a little too bright. This one is still not as dark as I'd like, but there's not much else to choose from that I haven't already used once or twice in the house, so this one's not too bad. And I added a candelabra over there to give a little light. That corner was kind of dark. And I think I repositioned the light source in the chandelier a little bit, get it centered a little bit more. That's about it there. Over here, not much has changed of anything. I moved the light source that I had sitting right here around the corner of the desk there, and I moved it over to, I think, right about here, like between these two chairs. Get it closer to the fireplace. There's still plenty of light over here, and I took a candle off of this desk and put it up here between these two containers because this area was really dark. It was kind of hard to see what it was. And there is a light source here. It's a very, very small one, as you can see by the area that's illuminated. But it's just enough to give a little light there and not interfere with anything. So I think that was the only thing I changed in here. There may have been some small adjustments to things, you know, stuff that might not be floored or centered properly. Little things like that. But everything else is hooked up and working. All these containers are working. Yeah, this is all the ingredients I was using in the alchemy garden. Testing everything there. So, let's see, what else? I got to fix that dais downstairs. I got one little issue, and I don't know what's causing it, but if you look at that candelabra there between the bookcases and that chandelier up there, and even that one, they look like they're turned off. And as I move closer, they come on. I don't know why they're doing that. I'm completely puzzled by this. I'm going to have to do some research and figure out what's going on with that. It's not a big deal, but it's really annoying. They should not be doing that. And they're all doing that. As you can see, the one up there is doing that. So if the ones upstairs are doing that, I don't know. Yeah, the one in there in the dining room, that one's doing it too. See? So I don't know what's causing that. I know sometimes if you have too many light sources, or if you have light sources that are they're interfering with each other, you'll get dark squares on the ground, and it will look like it gets darker. The area gets darker, not like that. But that's not happening here. As you can see, you don't see those dark squares come on. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I do have too many light sources. I don't know. I got to research that a little bit and see what's going on with that. I think that's everything. Well, other than repositioning the dais, I think the interior is done. I haven't nav meshed yet because as I've been fixing things, I've been finding little things that I want to change and try different things and reposition things. And I've had this running list, so I'm writing things down. I'm crossing them off. It's now up to 163. It was 30 before, if you remember. But, you know, I don't think I've ever had more than 7 or 8 at any one time because I'm crossing them off and just as quickly as I'm adding them. But let's leave the area and come back and see that our exterior lights and these windows are working properly. See, they're looking okay right now. They're supposed to be out in the middle of the day. But sometimes they don't work until you leave the area and come back. So we'll hang out down here at the Guardian Stones for a couple hours and go back in the evening and see make sure that all the lights are working right. Man, another long load screen. What is going on? Your firstborn is safe with me. I don't know what mod adds that. Look at that sunset. Man. Arundel. Amazing. Okay, you know, I have to do a screen capture of that. I've got so many screen captures from their great sunsets. It's like everyone's a little bit nicer than the last one, you know. I mean, at the time it seems like it anyway. I suppose if I lined them all up and looked at them, that might not be the case. But I still constantly find myself going, man, look at that. Okay, perfect. The windows are yellow. They'll go from dark to orange to yellow, and then in the morning they'll go from yellow to orange to dark. But sometimes they're kind of iffy and they don't work right until you leave the area and come back. That's not a big deal. A lot of things do that. The plantable soils here, they won't work until you leave and come back. I think the mannequins are a little... They kind of act up a little bit too. You can see we got light sources coming on there. Let's wait another hour. So I put that lantern on there. I think that was one of the last things I did, because this area was really dark and I thought we should at least illuminate the door so we can see where we're going. You know, I'm getting a couple of FPS hits right now. It's probably from all those light sources, but it's not significant. But this area's it's lit up pretty well. Let's see how it looks from down here. Wow, you can see that sunken ship in the water. That's strange. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I like the way these windows look. It's a nice, warm, inviting yellow. Well, I think that's gonna be it for now. I haven't nav meshed yet because I keep saying as soon as I get these last 4 or 5 things done, I'm gonna nav mesh, and then I'd find 4 or 5 new things, and I'd do those, and I think, okay, now I'm gonna nav mesh, and then I'd find 4 or 5 more things. It's been going on like that, and it's not all things that need to be fixed. Sometimes I'll, you know, like these lanterns that are hanging back here. They were all like the one in the middle, hanging on that side of it, but on the ends here, I turned this one inside, and I had one here, and I removed that one, and then added these. It's just a lot of little things like this. Let me see how this looks. Let me see how that looks. Let me swap this out, and it's been a lot of stuff like that. But I think we're pretty much done here. I can't think of anything else other than those lights acting weird, and I really don't know what to do about that. It's not that noticeable, but it bugs me. So aside from that, next step is to get the nav mesh in place. After that, I got to do a lot of testing. I got to make sure that all the weapon holders are working correctly with each weapon type that can fit in there. I've already tested the plantable soils, except for the ones on the porch and the front and back deck. I haven't tested those yet, so I'll need to do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. Plant some stuff, you put some weapons in the holders, and then leave for a few days, come back, and make sure you can still access the weapons. Because sometimes these things, they act strange. If you've been following the Let's Play, you'll know that happened with that house, Hala. And I'm not blaming Eleanor for that. That's just, it's a weird creation kit thing that sometimes these weapon holders, you put a weapon on it and then you can't get it back. I've heard this. I've read about this from many people, so it's not something new. It's just very strange that way. So I'll need to test those and make sure they are working correctly. So, but that's going to do it for now. Nav mesh and then do some more testing. I'll probably do one more episode, and that might be, I don't know, maybe I'll show some of the testing process and we can see it, make sure everything's working right. But I mean, other than a nav mesh, it's and fixing that dais, that's easy adjustment. It's pretty much done. I can't think of anything else I want to add or take away or change. So it's looking good. I'm ready to test this thing out and get it into my game, start using it. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Have a great day. And one more episode. Why not? See you in part 12.